ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Big Wil Spotlight. We're going to discuss movies the Oscars don't care about. We're going to discuss movies that you care about. So go ahead, get yourself something to eat. Get yourself something to drink. Sit back and relax with your popcorn and your date as we go to Big Wil Spotlight with your hosts, Big Wil, Dr. Quack, and the important one, Mr. Mayhem.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Big Wil Spotlight. I'm your host, Big Wil.
And I'm the important one, Mr. Mayhem. It's time to do a little battle.
Yes, it's the first of the battles that we will probably have this year. Not saying that they will all be wrestler versus wrestler kind of thing, but it's that time of year.
That's right. It's time to find out. We went and did a little bit of research here, and we've kind of put together a list of 16 wrestlers who acted in movies not as wrestlers and not as superheroes. We're going to work this list, tailor this list with a couple of our special guests, and come up with a list that's going to do battle next week to find out who's the best character played by a wrestler.
Yeah, who would be the strongest character that is the character, not the wrestler? And it's just, this is all for interpretation. It's going to be a finalized list after we finish the show.
All right, but before we can do that, we do have to bring on a couple of our analysts. And of course, he's the analyst extraordinaire. Please welcome him to the show, Brick Johnson. And
how are we doing, gentlemen?
Doing good, sir. How you doing? And the man
good
kind of helped us understand we needed to have a little bit better screening process. So why not him come on and help us with this? Jordan Drake. Gentlemen, welcome.
Welcome.
Hello. Thank you.
All right. So
all right, we got 16 movies. Well, we probably have more than 16 movies to get through in this show. So hey, how about we just go ahead and get started?
Let's get started.
If you guys are out there and you guys want to come on here, help us judge, make sure that this ends up being a pretty solid list. Please, by all means, get on here.
There you go. All right, so what do we got first?
Dropping stuff already. All right, we went through, started a list. You made Big Wil do some homework here. Okay, we're gonna start off with They Live. Ooh. We're going to have the great Rowdy Roddy Piper as George Nada in this battle royale. Well, tentatively, we're going to figure out if that's the way to go. Guess we got to cover They Live real quick.
Yeah.
They Live it's a cop. He ends up finding a pair of sunglasses that ends up helping him find out aliens are taking over the planet, and he goes through and fixes it.
Very nice.
That's that quick?
That's a solid one. Again, that follows the rule of he has special sunglasses, but he doesn't by himself have any superpowers. Brick, what's your thoughts on this character, Rowdy Roddy Piper as George Nada?
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
I'm trying to get my headphones to connect again.
Good. Unless you just can't hear us.
I think.
What's your thought?
Can you hear me?
Go ahead, Brick. If you can, we can hear you, Brick. Whenever you're ready.
I think that was a pretty good movie. I think.
All righty, Mr. Drake.
They Live, to me, is one of the quintessential B movies of science fiction. I remember watching this as a child, and even today is one of my favorite just campy but enjoyable movies. The twist ending to it, when you finally realize how far the invasion has gone, to me is such an underrated thing. And this is simply a man who is armed with his wits, a few shotgun shells, and a lot of grit. Roddy, I find, plays, what would you do if you found out that aliens have taken over the earth? You're either going to hide under your bed or you may become a little psychotic. And Roddy Piper, having that natural heel psychosis, played up this part with the campiness and enjoyability that this movie demanded. And it's a great choice.
All right. Mr. Johnson, can you hear us now? All right. So Brick might be back in here.
I'm gonna jump in, jump back out, just a second.
All right.
So the only thing that I liked, They Live, John Carpenter, that was kind of his debut movie where he really got recognized. He's done some other stuff since then, but that was his really kind of getting himself going. The only thing I didn't like about the movie is John Carpenter focused too hard on showing Roddy Piper's wrestling skills with Keith David. And it was a little campy. It's the only thing that people knock about the entire movie, of all things, is the wrestling. But I still think it's a great choice. Giving him the sunglasses to being able to see things. Some of the other people in here none of these guys are, super powered, but there is one that has some powers as we go over to see if they survive. All right, Mr. Johnson, can you hear us now?
Yeah, I don't know. I might have to switch to wire phones. I don't know what's going on with these.
It's okay, but so are we all good with They Live for now?
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Next one up.
Next movie is going to be The Condemned. The great Steve Austin playing Jack Conrad in this movie. The Condemned, by the overview that I saw, from what I remember, it's different. They say he's a Delta Force soldier who's captured in a Central American prison and condemned to death. And then, don't want to say TV studio, but some producer ends up picking up all these condemned people, dropping them on an island to have them kill each other. For the most part. I believe that he was CIA or DEA, something like that. Then they pick up that it's happening and help get him to shut it down and everything like that.
All right. So, Mr. Johnson, your thoughts on Jack Conrad, The Condemned?
I'm good with it. I think he played a strong character in that movie. I enjoyed it.
All right, Mr. Drake.
Watching this movie the first time, and this is actually a retelling of Running, which I hope is featured on this list with another prominent wrestling figure. Again, he's just a badass. It's quintessential Steve Austin flick. It's violence for the enjoyment of violence. There's great kills in this movie. I don't remember personally what his background was. He's just a very merciless person that's there to do a job, and he does it very well for, an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yes.
And this was the first movie that got the WWE, WWF studios recognized as actually being a competent studio. There were a few other movies that did not do very well. This was the first one that got positive reviews from critics.
Okay.
That would be the way to put it. It got it recognized as legitimate. And yes, Steve Austin did a great job in here as some kind of mercenary-ish Delta Force, Special Forces type guy who, he was very cruel, very heartless. There were a lot of things we could have done with Steve Austin. We could have done the first Expendables and made him that part. He could have came from The Longest Yard. He's done a few other things. I think this was a really good choice to put Steve Austin in.
Yes, we tried to keep it where we didn't end up with every wrestler in the same movie. So we had to spread it around. We eliminated ones that had multiple characters. Yes, there are some in here that have some other character in it, but it just, fell into place is what it did for the most
Yeah,
part.
I think this is a really strong choice.
But since you did mention the WWE part being part of this movie, we got to go with the first movie that WWE movie studios actually did put out, See No Evil.
That was not the first.
That's what I read in the reviews.
Was it
homework?
was it the Marine?
No.
Maybe it was the Marine. I was doing my homework, so they all kind of jumbled together.
Well, technically, the first one would actually be No Holds Barred.
Yeah.
Okay.
Under the WWF banner.
True.
I remember it being See No Evil because of Kane being in it.
Yeah, but Hogan was already around for many years before
I'm
Kane.
saying for the WWE studios.
Okay, yeah, because there was the WWF studios, then they became the WWE studios. So.
See, I thought it was the Marine was first.
I
or unless that was just promoted.
Well, I think Kane was done with wrestling before John Cena hit the scene.
No.
No? Okay. Okay.
It's okay. Let's go on to the next one.
Well, that's why I was kind of moving over to See No Evil.
Okay.
We're going to go with See No Evil real quick.
Jacob Goodnight.
Jacob Goodnight, played by the great Glenn Jacobs, known as Kane.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
that was good.
What's your thoughts on See No Evil?
He played that character perfectly. I thought it was like, I mean, he really didn't have to do much transition if you think about it.
Very true. Very true.
Sort of body slamming people. He was killing them.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Drake, your thoughts?
See No Evil is the greatest example to me of a modern version of an 80s slasher flick. There's not gore porn, it's not over the top in an awful way. It plays homage to Freddy Krueger's, your Jason Voorhees's, your classic late 70s, early 80s jump scare horror, and has just those interesting kills to make you go, what did I just watch? And in Jacob's, there was very little. It was Kane turned up to 11, allowed to kill people in real life.
Yeah.
It was. There was. To say that he got to sink his teeth into this role is an understatement. It was just another day.
Yeah, you're right. It's the normal thing for a great and successful gimmick is one aspect of the human person turned up to 11. Well, they did one step better by taking the wrestling character, taking one part of his personality and turning it up to 11. And you're right. In when I first saw See No Evil, I didn't really care for it. I'm not much of a horror fan as it is, but in retrospect now, I wouldn't say Jason Voorhees so much, more of Leatherface, the guy that lives in the basement, and everybody will remember him killing the woman by shoving her cell phone down her throat. So I think that was a pretty good choice. It's gotten better with time. One of the few movies that got better with time.
I'm gonna watch it again.
Yeah.
All right. So I think we all sound good on Jacob Goodnight. Just a straight old slasher killer, serial killer.
Oh yeah.
All right. What we got next?
Let's go through a couple of these. There's, like I say, we're just gonna do it. Suburban Commando.
Oh, all righty. Who do we have from Suburban Commando? Because we have two choices.
With Suburban Commando, we did go with Hulk Hogan as Shep Ramsey.
All righty.
I don't think I've ever seen that movie.
It's
a guilty pleasure.
You're young enough to.
It's a guilty pleasure.
Is it on like Tubi or something?
I don't know about Tubi. You probably find it it may be such a bad movie. You may not be able to find it anywhere.
You can find
guilty pleasure.
bargain at Walmart.
Yeah, bargain bin at Walmart.
But either way, Suburban Commando is space traveling. Well, I guess he's an alien for the most part. He's a space traveler, ends up having something happen to his ship. He ends up back here on Earth, and this was the point of it, was to kind of be a comedy because he tried to fit in with us. And, you know, you got...
Was it an 80s or 90s film?
80s.
It was early 90s, late 80s, early 90s.
It's counted as it's 91.
91.
Is it 91?
Okay.
I didn't think it was.
Okay. Who's all in it?
Hulk Hogan, Shelley Duvall, or
Shelley Duvall.
Shelley Duvall, Christopher Lloyd. Those are the three big names.
So
in
that's
there.
why I'm saying it's supposed to be because he's an alien trying to fit in with us. But first of all, he's 6'5", 400, no, not 400 pounds, but 300 pounds, and you don't fit in that easy in the first place.
All righty. So this is also the movie we had to pick between the two. The other one was The Undertaker because Hulk Hogan had to try and not use his space gadgets, for lack of a better term, and he used, or one got used, and it signaled a beacon so that the two bounty hunters, one of them played by The Undertaker, were looking for it.
So are we counting Undertaker as well then, or no?
That movie was a small bit. That's why that's the problem with putting Undertaker in this is that he played the small bits. I mean, yes, it was a major part of the movie, but I mean that's why it's one of them things we kind of pushed him out, but kept Hulk Hogan there, and because the nanny, he was a wrestler, and I mean, other than that was like Santa with muscles, and it's kind of like, no, let's not do that one.
So are we counting like all the different main actors for like the Marine in there too, like The Miz, Randy Orton, and John Cena, or are we just picking one?
We're gonna just go John Cena for now, but that doesn't mean we can't change. But
we're not there yet.
Since you have not seen Suburban Commando, Mr. Drake.
Yeah, I'll have to look that up.
Suburban Commando, as the gentlemen have said, that is a guilty pleasure, campy 90s comedy that I just think really interesting on the Wikipedia page about, and it makes complete sense now, the entire script. That part was originally written supposedly for Arnold Schwarzenegger, not for Hulk Hogan. Knowing that, it now makes perfect sense why they're in there.
Yep.
This is one of those, if you want to sit down with your kids and have a fun movie night, because Hulk Hogan is quintessential Hulk Hogan. It is the beginning of the 90s. He's still riding that wave of Hulkamania. And 6'5", whatever, 320 pounds. He's larger than fine, out of place. It's comedy gold just seeing the comparison between, as you said, Christopher Lloyd and Shelley Duvall and the kids. I mean, it's one of those. He did make a lot of good movies. This one is worth having on the shelf.
I'll have to check on Tubi, see if it's on there.
It is, and one of the greatest lines of all time. Great friend of mine, R.D. Reynolds, runs WrestleCrap.com. He's also a big fan of this movie. It's a guilty pleasure. He actually to a comic for Lloyd to say the line, "I was frozen today." So you have to see it to understand it. But Hulk Hogan throwing a mime up onto the second floor balcony because the mime is trying to climb the rope doing mime tricks, and Hogan trying to help him out. And he got caught in a force field. Hogan pushes his face thinking he's trying to free him. It's a guilty pleasure from the standpoint of Hogan is actually funny in this movie, and he's not supposed to be. He plays the straight man, and it's really, really funny.
Okay.
I'm glad you
see. See, I thought maybe it was that movie where, the guy that gets like it's like a 90s movie, but I think it has who is the dude? The dude that gets frozen for like 30 years and then he takes like the knife and pops out the dude's eyeball.
Oh,
No.
No, okay.
Oh.
I think Sylvester Stallone was in that movie or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then there's one other funny line that kind of Hulk Hogan has a little fun with it, where he lifts up the guy's car to move it out of the way because this guy who's being a real ass blocks the parking lot or driveway. Hogan picks up, moves the car back, and they all get in his face. So what are you going to do? You going to beat me up? Nah, we're going to sue you. And he's like, sue? I don't get this culture. It's a really, really funny movie.
Yeah. I'll have to look that up.
You're thinking of Wesley Snipes and Sylvester Stallone in Demolition Man.
Yes, that's the movie.
Yeah.
I was thinking for some reason it was that, but I couldn't think of it.
And unfortunately, that one didn't make the list because we have another Jesse Ventura movie.
Yes, we do. I guess Suburban Commando made it.
That sounds like it for now.
All right. So now we're gonna go with the Predator.
Oh.
Okay, if you haven't seen the Predator, you got to go watch that.
The first
one.
movie, the first Predator.
Yes, the first one.
I've seen a couple of them, but I don't know.
The first one, Arnold Schwarzenegger, his team of Delta Force end up getting taken down into Central American, jungle, and because they didn't know at the time, but an alien had shot down like a helicopter, and he's hunting humans for the most part.
Yes.
That sounds like a lot of reoccurring themes with that kind of scene in a movie.
It kind of is, but at the same time, if you were into like the Predator alien story, he's in the wrong place. So anyway, we're going with the Predator. We got Jesse Ventura as Blaine Cooper. And if nobody ever remembers, this is the part with Jesse Ventura that you're always going to remember of that movie. He gets that minigun out and just pretty much cuts a jungle. Cuts the jungle in half for the most part. Mm-hmm. It really can happen with that gun, too.
I didn't know he was in movies.
Jesse?
Jesse was in
lots of movies.
Lots of movies.
Okay.
He could have made it in there in The Running Man also, but we went with the Predator so that we could put somebody else in this list, which is up.
Yep. So, Mr. Drake, Blaine Cooper, the Predator.
The one part I remember about Jesse's character that was always so funny is the fact that he is chewing dip the entire movie, and he's doing his lines with a full mouth, and it makes it seem that more realistic that is something that you're in the middle of this South American hellhole with a few of your buddies gone possibly into a suicide mission. What are you going to do? I don't care.
This stuff will put hair on your chest.
Yep, that's a line.
Yeah, and
I don't quite remember the rest of it, but what he actually said, a T-Rex like me.
Nice.
Jesse didn't seem out of place. He didn't seem like a wrestler acting. He seemed like an actor portraying a war soldier.
Yes.
I'm sure brought some of his real life experiences to the character. I do remember him picking up the minigun and just mowing down the freaking forest, which later on in the movie, I want to say, blown off his first right arm because the Predator learned, oh, wait, he holds with that arm.
Mm-hmm.
So, he got a good death in that movie, I must say. Did it up as a skull trophy, so he may not have ever won the big one, but he ended up as one of the Predators.
Yep, and this movie was I remember when this movie was coming out, they used to play snippets of that very scene where he's crawling through and he picks up the minigun and starts firing. They used to show that on Superstars every week for like 3 or 4 months, and it was great. Jesse did a lot of great parts. He's done a few bad movies, but for the most part, he did great movies. The only movie he should have acted in and he didn't was the Jesse Ventura story. They didn't have Jesse Ventura play Jesse Ventura. But all in all, Jesse Ventura, really, really good actor. And I agree with that, the summation. He didn't look like a wrestler. He didn't look out of place. Even when he did
Okay.
The Running Man, when he was Captain America, he was not out of place playing parts. He looked natural, looked like an actor.
His name's escaping.
Captain something.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like
It doesn't
I know I've heard a lot of things about Alien versus Predator, because like the Predators, there's a big fan base around it. So
Right. Well, the first Predator, the first movie came out in 1987.
And luckily,
I wasn't even born yet.
There you go. And
I was
for
born
those
that year.
who didn't know, yes, I spent a lot of time in the military, and if 4ID would have gotten off their ass, that was the gun I was supposed to have.
Yep.
I was expert with the machine gun, so that's why I was number one choice for it. But, you know, they sent me to Korea again. Yeah, thanks, Army.
All right. Sounds like Blaine made it for now. All righty.
All right.
Next.
Next we got Blade 3.
Mm.
Blade 3, we got Paul Michael Levesque, better known as Triple H.
He played a very strong character in that movie.
All right, Brick. This is a movie you know something about.
Yeah, I think he played very well in that movie. He was like a vampire monster, right?
he was a
vampire. We won't say monster. We'll just go with vampire.
Vampire, but yeah, no, he played really well in that movie. I'm surprised you guys. Well, no, not surprised. I'd say that's a good one to pick, because wasn't there like another movie he was in, like a butler or
The Chaperone.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you guys picked this one, because that was back in like his height too, like in the 90s, and like, yeah, he played a strong character in that one.
I think my favorite part with him of that is with that little bitty ass dog.
the poop.
Yeah,
It's like that big guy with that little dog. But then, of course, then you find out it's a vampire dog.
Yep. All right, Mr. Drake.
The dogs, I think, is actually a riff on Evil, which I thoroughly enjoyed. He had no superpower, but in this case, he is because these vampires are vulnerable to silver poison, and he's not top strong. He's probably about 5 times as strong as a human being. So there's some gaugeability there. It play a very egocentric asshole vampire. Gee, I wonder where he got that from. No,
am I echoey or?
This was when
No,
Triple H
you're
did good stuff, and it's very much to me. It's Triple H from the McMahon Helmsley deal turned up to 11. It's very much the Jacob Goodnight comparison. It's just he's a vampire. He's still that much of an asshole. He's still that much of a prick, and he feels that much superior over Blade than anybody else. And he played very, very well.
Yep. And the reason Triple H actually made this one, yes, a vampire has special superpowers. The problem is he has a lot of weaknesses that make it because when you read the lore of vampires, humans can kill vampires fairly easily if they know what they're doing. So it's not out of place to put a vampire in this battle.
And I mean, worst case scenario, he latches onto somebody, they turn into a vampire and kill him anyway. So,
Touché.
Jake might take the poodle and just stuff it into his jaw, and he chokes.
You never know.
Great.
So we have consideration of bringing special weapons, huh?
A wooden stake,
Maybe.
special weapon.
Oh, I was talking about the dog, or you know.
Death by poodle. That's a Deadpool death right there.
There you go. Exactly.
So we saying
I
that
think
Triple
so far
H made
he's
it?
good.
All right. All right. So we're getting into the Running Man. Like I say, we ended up being able to get back to. These weren't picked in any specific order, but you know, we were just playing with things, and that's why Jesse Ventura ended up coming from Predator instead of from the Running Man, because we ended up picking Professor Tanaka playing Sub-Zero from the Running Man.
Rick.
I don't think I've ever seen one around the Running Man.
It's another
I might have to go.
out. This movie came out in '84, so he wasn't even a twinkle yet.
You still got to catch up.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to catch up. Yeah.
This is another guilty pleasure. This is a guilty '80s Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. All the cheesy lines. Mr. Drake.
One of those when Arnold doing the good stuff, kind of do no wrong. Didn't matter how bad the film was. Everybody went to see Arnold Schwarzenegger. I, in all honesty, have not seen this movie in years, so my memory is a bit fuzzy on some of it. I do remember Pat Tanaka as Sub-Zero. I did not realize that was Pat Tanaka until you even told it to me. I didn't remember that. I certainly remember as Captain Freedom. I looked it up for you, John.
Captain Freedom, thank you.
Yeah.
Nice.
But at the same time, this is probably the one movie that Arnold Schwarzenegger had the most one-liners of his career.
Yeah,
I mean, he pretty much had a one-liner for every kill.
Yeah, every kill. Sub-Zero. Lane Zero.
Nice.
This movie is almost the reverse. Instead of a wrestler playing something else, Arnold in this movie is so close to being a wrestler between the one-liner, the insult, promo cutting. He could have a program with Hogan and been fine.
Yes.
It was very much if you're a wrestling fan, you'll enjoy this. Just for the one-liners, for any promo artists out there, there is some material in there, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
That hasn't been heard in years, so it might get through.
And if you think about it, you could almost correlate this to a wrestling movie. Richard Dawson. I could see Richard Dawson as Vince McMahon. Because he plays the host of the TV show, The Running Man, and he basically cheeses it up. He's Vince McMahon before he did Family Feud.
Wow, nice.
He bases his character off of this movie.
Although it would not surprise me to find out if the Mr. McMahon character was played off of Killian, the character Richard Dawson plays.
Quit giving away my secrets.
But it's a funny movie. It's got a lot of cheese. Of course, with 80s, it's got dancing girls in it. I can't think of her name. Maria something.
Conchita Alonso.
Yeah, Maria Conchita Alonso. It's got Yafet Cotto in there, so it's got some big name actors in there. It's actually a good movie to check out. Yes, they're all kind of young in their career, but it's still a great movie.
It's a great
movie
to watch.
This one. Watch The Running Man first, and then watch The Condemned. You're watching the same movie, one with laughs, one that's rated R movie.
Yes, that's a fair analysis.
Okay.
It's a long time. I mean, yeah. If you get down to TV, filming, making ratings,
And to specifically explain Professor Toru Tanaka's part in this, the Predators, as they are known in the movie, or the Hunters or something, they call them something.
Hunters,
the Hunters. But people who are condemned to prison, they get hired by the show, and if you manage to escape, you get your freedom. You get paroled and you get your freedom. And Toru Tanaka plays a character named Sub-Zero, who his realm is he controls ice. and he has a hockey puck that when he launches it at you, when they hit something, they explode. So that's his contribution. And his hockey stick has a blade on it, so he can cut things with his blade.
And
this
the goal
was a good
wrap around people, capturing them, kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
This was a good 5 years before Mortal Kombat, so there's some interesting dichotomy there.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So I think Toru for now is in, Professor Tanaka.
All right.
Wait. Professor Sub-Zero. Let's clarify.
Yes, he was technically Professor Sub-Zero. That was his name of his character. Because Toru Tanaka, because he was Professor Toru Tanaka, wanted the professor name put in there. All right, who's next? Oh, do you have something to say?
Wasn't about saying it was still, escaping my brain limits for having to keep going with this list anyway.
It's okay.
So this one is the controversial one in my brain anyway. We're going to talk about Major Payne. In Major Payne, Bam Bam Bigelow plays a huge biker, which is what he's credited as being for the movie, that comes to fight Major Payne to beat him up because the kids hired him to do it and, got his ass handed to him. So
wasn't it like a minor role?
It was a very minor role.
But Bam Bam Bigelow, it was one of those.
I mean,
he's a guilty pleasure of a wrestler to me.
Yeah, I get that, but if we're going with major roles instead of minor roles, I mean, you counted Undertaker out for having minor role. I mean, wouldn't that be the same thing?
Yeah.
Yes, but if you're going to do that for one, you kind of have to do it for another, right?
Well,
unless you're bending rules.
Well, no, that's why we're figuring it out, kind of screening the list here. Who would?
Because he was a wrestler in another movie as well.
Yeah, who would you suggest we replace him with? Because Bam Bam only has 2 movie credits.
Yeah.
Any other one? I'm sorry, I haven't seen. So.
What about Randy Orton? Does he have a couple movie credits?
I'm gonna take it you're a Randy Orton fan.
Randy Orton, Miz.
Talking about him.
Yeah. What about
who I base my character off of?
What about Ric Flair? Did he ever do any movies?
Not really.
Ring or somebody's bedroom long enough.
Yeah. All right, hold on.
Mr. Drake, do you have an idea of maybe, because Brick does bring up a valid point about it's a very minor role.
Major Payne's gone. Boom. We don't have to talk about him anymore. No more Damon Wayans.
How insulting. Damon Wayans is a great.
He did a great job in there. He did.
Yeah.
My favorite movie.
Well, let's talk about it, because we kind of talked about this in the green screen then, because we unfortunately had to eliminate The Rock because we had to try and figure out. Let's see, what do you think of The Rock doing Sean Archer of The Rundown?
I'm okay with that one.
What do you think?
If Mr. Drake will say we'll bless off on it, I will be more than happy to put that one on the list.
I think being that is a standalone movie without a franchise or a strong supporting cast, the movie was about him. And he that movie. So The Rock is in for The Rundown.
Yeah, I think his name was Sean Archer. If I have to double check that name for sure. But just as a quick reference, The Rundown, The Rock he's a heavy that is trying to retire to open his own restaurant. So he takes on one last job, and he has to go down to rescue Christopher Walken's son, who's played by Sean William Scott.
Christopher Walken is the bad guy.
Oh, that's right. He's the bad guy, but he has to go get Sean William Scott, who was known as...
In Brazil. And what do you call Brazil nuts in Brazil?
Nuts.
Nuts. But yeah, Sean William Scott was famous in the American Pie movies.
Yeah.
And then
So he's done some things, and it's a very funny
Evolution.
movie.
Well, what was the other one that he did that he was like the sheriff? Or no, he won.
Walking
He got cut up and then he won the.
That's based on a story.
Huh?
That's based on a true story. That's why I didn't.
story, and it's the remake. So
It's Walking
Walking Tall.
So I guess
That's right, yeah.
But we got The Rock on the list, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah.
Yeah.
all right. So what do we got next?
All right, we're gonna mention this movie. We got to get the right movie out there too, because people are gonna go watch the wrong one. The Punisher, the one with Thomas Jane in it, not Dolph Lundgren or oh god, he can't. Ray Stevenson, Thomas Jane. We got Kevin Nash playing the Russian.
All righty.
Everybody got quiet.
Yeah, because I know very little about it. I think I remember seeing it, but it's like vaguely remember.
I seriously was looking up movies for Kevin Nash because we originally had him as the Super Shredder, but because it would have ended up having where he had superpowers kind of thing. That we kind of
Wasn't he? Yeah, he was a shredder in that was in the second movie or third?
Ninja Turtles 2.
And two.
Yeah.
Super Shredder.
And the original
Yeah.
one, not the other one that we're going to mention here in a little while, which is also considered dead.
Yeah, the 90 one from the 90s.
But either way, we ended up going with the Russian from The Punisher.
I tried for the bodyguard for Magic Mike, but got outvoted.
Yeah, no.
He played Tarzan in that movie.
Yeah, I also wanted him to be the bodyguard for Rock of Ages because he can't sing, and I thought that'd be a great fighting tool. But I got outvoted. All right, so
we got Kevin Nash in here. I mean, is it a good choice?
I'm good. What about you, Jake?
I think the fight scene between him and Punisher is one of the funniest exchanges, simply because first punch, he goes to hit Nash, and Nash just smiles at him, knowing he's going to enjoy this. His supposed death scene is, again, an improvised hilarity for a movie that didn't have a lot of laughs. This not get voted out with Bam Bam because Bam Bam took one hit to the throat and one hit to the jewels, and he was done. Nash hung in there for a minute or two with fun.
I believe he got stabbed quite a few times and didn't even flinch.
Yes, it gets stabbed one.
Oh, is that where he actually got wasn't that actual scene? Like he literally got stabbed and still finished the scene.
Yeah, because they gave Punisher the wrong knife. They gave the actor the wrong knife. They gave him.
I've seen that picture.
Yeah, they gave him an actual steel blade knife instead of a retracting knife. So when he stabbed Nash, he really did stab Nash. And Kevin just went, not the first time.
Probably not the last time. Well, hopefully.
all right, so I think we're good
Well,
there.
it sounds like that one's making it in.
All right.
And he finished the scene and then went to the hospital. Like they didn't just stop. And that, I guess that's in the movie too, isn't it?
I believe so.
I'm sure it is. I mean, it for realism. I mean, if he was okay with it being in the movie, yeah.
I mean, he was a bad dude back then. Nash, yeah.
All right, so what we got next?
All right, we're going to we're going to talk about Universal Soldier, the original one, and Tommy Lister playing GR55.
Yeah, this is an uncredited part for Tiny Lister. He was part of the Universal Soldiers, but he was not listed as a credited part.
Who is that? Like what? Who is that? That wrestler? I've never
Zeus
heard of. Oh,
from
what? Like Territorial Days or?
No.
He had
No Holds Barred.
No Holds
There you
Barred.
go.
Oh, okay.
Zeus.
Yeah, now you know. Oh, he was in 100 movies. Yes, he's probably the most famous. Oh, I can't say most famous.
He's a
He's
well-respected
probably
actor.
the wrestler who has been in the most movies ever. Hell, he might be the actor who's in the most movies ever.
Yeah.
He is in so many movies. Friday, next Friday. I mean, the list just goes on.
He played
and
the
on.
president in The Fifth Element.
Okay.
Very well respected too. But yeah, this is an interesting pick, I think, going with the Universal Soldier, because while he's human, he died and they brought him back to life and they enhanced him chemically, but it's not super enhancement. It's just enhance. So, Mr. Drake, what's your thoughts?
I hope that him and Triple H end up in a bracket together. I'd like to see Universal Vampire, right?
Got to get ran through the randomizer. So,
as you said, Universal Soldier is credited as being the peak of possibility. So you're dealing with somebody that's still within a human parameters of pain, of strength. It's not a Captain America. It's what we as modern science could do. So a man that size, you could figure he's going to, bench press 600 or 700 pounds, or, punch through a wooden board, or, have the punching strength going. I had actually forgotten that Tiny was in that movie until you both brought it to me, and I went, he was. I didn't realize he was credited either. Tiny, as you said, probably has more acting credit than anyone else because he's done numerous television shows. But the thing I've ever heard about him was he was a well-liked individual as both an actor and a human being, that he just enjoyed the work he did. He was, even when he was in WWE, he was a pleasure to have in the locker room, that he didn't take himself too seriously.
Yes.
He's probably one of the best serious comics that there could possibly be.
Yes.
He just sit there and be funny and not crack a smile at you.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one I definitely approve of because, as I said, I'm hoping Vampire versus Universal Soldier match.
There you go. Brick, you're okay with it as well?
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that movie in like forever. That's probably another one I'm gonna have to. Yeah, you're gonna have to send me these movies, and I'll have to watch them this week. Just kind of get my background and homework on this. Like some I know, and other ones I'm like, what are you talking about?
This movie and Bloodsport is what put Jean-Claude Van Damme on the map as
okay. Well, I know Bloodsport. I mean, everybody's seen that movie, but
yeah, the other movie that really the acting world took notice of Jean-Claude Van Damme.
And
yeah,
Jean-Claude has actually kind of made a comeback into movies and actually had a fighting scene where they're in a home theater and Bloodsport is on the wall. And like, I like that guy in that movie. He learned to make fun of himself.
What movie was he in that he did that? I'm trying to remember. There was was that the one with Batista in it?
Probably. I mean, they're all
where they had the glass at the end. Because they were trying to make like another. Were they trying to make like another Bloodsport kind of rendition or something?
They've done it already.
It's not blood. Well, I mean, they've come out with several Bloodsport movies. No, that's the other one. Besides Kickboxer, but hey, that's coming up too.
Let's go with that one next.
Oh, do we want to do that one next?
Sure.
All right.
Let's roll on.
Okay. It's not the original Kickboxer now. It's Kickboxer Vengeance, so that we could get Dave Bautista in here as Tom.
That's what I was talking about. That's what I was talking about. But I don't think. Yeah, I've seen that one.
Okay, so it's Dave Bautista, Tom Poe. There you go.
All right.
Yeah, because he was like because he was like the champion because he killed the world champion, the brother that died. That was and then the other dude came in and killed him at the end too. Spoiler alert.
All right.
But he was really strong. Yeah, like I thought he played pretty well. I mean, his acting was, but like the action in it was good.
All right. Mr. Drake, what's your thoughts on Tom Poe, Kickboxer Vengeance?
I haven't seen the movie actually. I've seen clips of it, so I know some of the fighting scenes. There's a Batista movie that I have a good later on. The problem is he has powers there. I would have voted in for Man with the Iron Fist. He played Brass Body in that. That's a very campy tribute to Chinese kung fu movies, which is a real good movie if no one's ever seen it. But I have no objections. He was a very convincing fighter in Kickboxer.
All right.
Yeah.
And the reason why we went with that kind of way was because we kind of got it where it's the military fighter kind of thing instead of Guardians of the Galaxy. We couldn't put Dave in there for Guardians and being
you could have put him in for that. What's the other movie that he's like
don't go with
assassin or something? Stuber.
Oh, Stuber.
You could also put for
we couldn't go with Stuber. We had to give him a fighting chance. He's blind in that movie.
Is he blind in that movie?
Yeah,
he had something done with his eyes and he couldn't see.
Oh yeah. That's right.
We could have because Rutger Hauer, Blind Fury, Rutger Hauer could fight. So.
Well, I mean, it was just he had the drivers too. So
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we were trying to. So we didn't go with My Spy and stuff like that. We went with the Kickboxer version of him.
All righty. So we got next.
Gotta moved back over this page, finish it off real quick.
All right.
We're gonna do Halloween.
Okay.
Okay, people should know the Halloween franchise, the Rob Zombie versions, because it's the newer, and so our age, ooh, we like the original ones. We gotta go see this one. Ooh, it's Rob Zombie. We gotta go see that. Tyler Mane plays Michael Myers in the Halloween series there. Okay, or at least two of them, Halloween and Halloween 2. And I mean, Tyler Mane, he's in so many movies that we could have picked to put him in here. He's gonna make it no matter what.
Tyler Mane, what was the rest? He's a wrestler.
He used to be a wrestler. Tyler Mane was a wrestler for about 4 years.
And what?
Not in WWF or anything. He did a smaller time stuff.
He was notable for being in Abrams UW. If for those that have ever seen that train wreck of a shit show.
Well, I'll have to, like I said, I'll have to look that up. Like, yeah, I didn't know that he was.
And for you, Brick, we'll tell you some of the other stuff Tyler Mane did. He was Sabretooth in X-Men.
Okay.
He was Ajax in Troy. You're okay. Think about your age frame. Fighting with Fire with John Cena. He was Axe.
I'm 36. Okay. So I'm in the same age bracket with Drake, I think. Maybe. Well, how old are you, Will? You're like 30 something, aren't you?
Yeah,
or 40.
I'm 51. He's 49.
There you go.
Wow, you go with 49.
I am the grandfather of 5. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Wow, you age well. You age well then, because
I'll tell you what it is. That man on his travels as a military officer found the fountain of youth and he is being selfish, and he doesn't want to share. That's what it
I
is.
can share it with you. Drink lots of beer and smoke.
You look like 40 or 45, not 49.
Secret is just to have a good time.
There you go. There you go.
You can't be serious and all the time. All day long. You can't be that.
There you go. So I guess Tyler Maine's in from
Tyler
Halloween.
Maine made it in.
Okay.
This list over with.
How many were there in like Halloween? Weren't there like 11 different Mike Myers or something?
Let's say Mike Myers lived for several different actors.
I mean, you can say the same thing with Jason Voorhees and everything like that. I mean, you got somebody in a mask. All you just need is somebody big to.
Yeah. Somebody big that looks like him, yeah.
They don't have to say anything. Just stand there.
All right. Let's move on. Speaking of big, let's move on to The Princess Bride. Andre the Giant playing Fezzik. Rick.
You're gonna say he got quiet.
No. I think he did well. Was that his only movie that he did?
The only one he's really known for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple of French movies.
For those of you who didn't know, Andre the Giant is French.
Yeah.
So it wasn't his gigantism that made it where you couldn't understand the words that were coming out of his mouth.
It was the French.
Well, and he had.
Yeah.
The average human being has 28 teeth. He had 44.
And he was like, what, 7'4", 500 pounds?
Well, technically,
That
he
was
was
what he
6'11".
He was billed as that, yes. But yeah.
I thought he was like 7 foot.
No.
So he was like.
He was technically 6'11".
6'11",
Okay.
foot, but they billed him at 7'4", 600 pounds.
But he was probably like 500 to 600 pounds.
4 to 5.
He was a big boy.
Yeah.
But back in the day, back when he was actually like really good, he was he was a lot smaller than the later years, yeah.
Yeah, he weighed 400 when he was doing a lot of his big stuff. Mr. Drake, your thought on Fezzik?
Princess Bride, one of the classic family films that I've watched this for either Netflix or have a DVD copy. Great family film, great comedy. Some of the best one-liners. Some of the most quotable lines.
Anybody want a peanut?
My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Do you have 5 fingers on your left hand?
And here we go. I knew this was going to degenerate. The one thing I've always heard about this movie was the fact that Andre loved doing it because people treated him as an actor, not as a 7-foot-tall freak, as he felt that he was being portrayed in life in general. They viewed him as just another actor, and he enjoyed his time as a giant in this movie. Because the movie doesn't really make fun of him as a giant. Doesn't really call it doesn't call attention to the fact that he's twice as large as most. It's almost an underlined thing.
You are the Brute Squad.
What?
He is the Brute Squad.
You are the Brute Squad.
Him
and Billy Crystal became actual friends, so.
I think if Andre had gotten into acting way this, he may have lived longer and gotten rid of wrestling, but unfortunately that wouldn't have done health. But him as Fez, just being a big guy size, he's bigger and stronger than everyone else. So I think he's going to place in the Final Four at least.
Yep.
Oof, I don't know.
And because of this movie, Andre the Giant will be forever remembered because this movie is in the Library of Congress, being protected for its aesthetic and historical significance.
Come of age, yeah.
To movies, so
yeah, no.
Library of Congress. All right, what do we got next?
All right, now let's get these. We got 3 more to go here. All right, the Marine. The Marine with John Cena as John Triton.
The first one.
The first one, yes.
So what made you pick that? Because like there's several different wrestlers in those movies that were main characters that weren't superheroes either.
But the first one, the only 2 that were really in it were John Cena and was he in the Miz? Right, but
His wasn't in the first one.
okay, I was gonna say I think that was the second one also.
He was in the third. So the reason we kind of went with that is the first one was John Cena, the second one was Ted DiBiase Jr., third and fourth and
was the Miz, right?
But John Cena is the only one that has a legitimate career doing other things.
Yeah, and he actually took that portrayal from that movie and used that persona for wrestling for a while too.
Yes.
I mean, he's an All-American, and that's what he came out with. So, I mean,
I'm okay with it.
All right, Mr. Drake.
There's God, how many movies is on this list? I mean, because
16. We eliminated 1. We went, but so 17.
God, wrestling
gone.
Record of doing campy movies.
We got 2 more to go if you approve of this one.
What can I say? It's John Cena. He has to be on this list, and I'd prefer him here than being from G.I. Joe. Not G.I. Joe, Fast and Furious. So, I approve.
All right.
All righty.
And then we've got the countdown with Dolph Ziggler as Ray Thompson.
This is one I wasn't familiar with, so
I don't think I've seen it either.
Neither have I.
You're gonna make me find another movie? No.
I mean, we can leave
Countdown.
Well, we'll get the other one and see if we want to keep that. Come back to that one then. Okay. So, like I pointed out, we were talking about Super Shredder. Here's the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle that did make it onto our list. Sheamus as Rocksteady, out of the shadows.
Are we getting him in his mutated form?
We don't have to go that deep into it, but even in his mutated form, it just enhanced him for the most part. Such as with Universal Soldier and Vampire. I mean,
so is he technically a supervillain or a superhero?
No, he's
not
enhanced.
super. Like I say, that he's got the ooze. Basically, same thing that made the turtles.
All right. Oof, that's tough. But I mean, if you did put Universal Soldier in, yeah.
And because
we got the Universal Soldier and
he had a lot of screen
and
time.
then, I mean, if you're putting in Triple H as the vampire as well, yeah, why not? I mean, we'll see what happens.
Mr. Drake?
Why not?
I approve of it because he had plenty of screen time, plenty of acting lines in there. So, both as his human and mutated form. So,
well, plus Rocksteady's dumb as dirt, so he's pretty easy to beat.
I think he beat himself by tripping over his own feet in the movie anyway.
Yeah.
how's that different than being in the ring with him?
All right, so now since we really don't know the countdown, anybody got a suggestion for another character? And don't mention Randy Orton.
Goldberg.
Macho Man.
Macho Man played a wrestler.
Macho Man played a wrestler.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Goldberg. Yeah, Goldberg.
He was Goldberg as
Santa Slay.
Goldberg is Santa Slay because we've got Jacob Goodnight. We've got a vampire. We've got an alien.
Y'all are like making like
It works for me.
they're making Quack's Day right now on
Yeah. Goldberg. All right. So it looks like it's kind of set here.
all right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16.
16.
Whoa.
So there we go. So next
All
week they're
right.
going to be ran through the randomizer, and we're going to be taking these characters and putting them against each other, and who would win the fight between the characters, not the wrestlers playing the characters.
So
Okay.
we're going to end up putting this list out underneath of, my little thing here of what they are, who made it, and it's not going to be the randomized list. It's just going to be the movies that we're
So we can do our research. And if
we
you want to
covered the movies here. Next week is just going to be their
The battles.
characters.
And if you want to join us next week and help vote on these, please join us.
I've heard so many people say they've had a hard time watching this straight up off of Facebook. Go watch us on YouTube if you're having a problem with it.
All right. So
All right.
let's take it home.
All right. We're going to see you next week with the actual battle and see whose character it would be basically the mightiest.
There you go.
All
Mr.
right.
Drake, Mr. Johnson, thank you for joining us. And we'll see you next time.
See you next week.